I wish I could easily convey it, except I do remember a phone conversation between me and one of my best friends. At the time, had also recently been diagnosed, as I was, in '93, telling each other that maybe one day this will all be over, we'll live to look back on this. But if and when we ever do not ever forget how terrified we are, how terrifying this is. I think for people today, gay people as well as straight people, to understand what was happening back then is very hard. And I think there's a natural resistance to memory in the immediate aftermath. I think we may come back to it. But, 300,000 young Americans died in roughly a decade. That's many more than the 60,000 or so who died in Vietnam in the same period, and not far apart the same age demographic. That's pretty brutalizing for a society in general, devastating for a tiny minority in which this was so profoundly concentrated. So I guess the short answer is to read my book, Love Undetectable, which is really about how I survived that crisis, or how you live the way most human beings paradoxically have always lived, under omnipresent possibility of death, illness, about which you can do nothing. So in some ways, the experience of the plague was to experience what it is to be human outside the bubble of the modern West, which was an interesting crash course in being human. What it revealed to me was the current spiritual resources of the West, as they were and as they are not up to the task of meeting real human life and death. And that part of what we have to do is, in the wake of that plague, is to reawake the spiritual life so that when it is met with disaster, it doesn't come up so wanting in so many ways. Where it didn't come up wanting was outside the structures of organized religion. There were many within organized religion, too, that also reached their potential as humans in that period. But more of that spiritual awakening that period evoked and demanded.